All right, we are back. I guess it's been about 8 or 9 months since the video. So yeah, a lot of stuff going on. Actually moved back to Auckland. We sold our place down in New Plymouth and shifted back. My business partner was retiring, so it's just easier for me to shift back up here. So a bunch of stuff happening with the business. We've moved into a new workshop. Yeah, so we had a whole bunch of stuff sort of happening at once, selling houses, moving back to Auckland, moving workshops up in Auckland, and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I haven't had a lot of time for stuff. Oh, we also had another baby. Yeah, so yeah, fair bit of stuff going on. So yeah, I'm going to try and kick the vlogs back into action. Got quite a bit going on besides work and family stuff. With car stuff, so kind of figured it would be worthwhile getting these things kicked back off. Obviously Joel and Adam as well are back into it. Adam's been away overseas working and came back, and they decided to buy Corollas, so we'll get out there at some stage as well and show you guys those cars. You may see some footage. I'm actually prepping the Silvia for a Drift Force event next weekend, which I think we're all going to. So yeah, I'll try and get out to Adams at some stage as well and just show you guys their Corollas and what's happening with their other cars and stuff out there. Fair bit of stuff happening with the Verossa as well, which is at home. Yeah, I've got a pretty small workshop at home now compared to the one I had back in New Plymouth, so there's not really enough room for both cars there. So I'm just I've got the Silvia at the workshop at the moment. This probably won't be permanently here. It's just a little bit too tight on room in here with the amount of stuff we've got going on with work. So yeah, I'll show you a bit of the Verossa stuff as well. Quite a bit's happened with that. I had filmed other stuff, but I just didn't have time to edit anything and get it posted up, so I'll just probably do one big update video, this video, and yeah, bring everyone up to date. So the Silvia, done quite a few track days in it recently. Did Mad Mike's Summer Bash in December, done a couple of Drift Force days I think, and the Woundfest event the Wholesome World boys put on. The car sucks, man. This car sucks, but I'm just kind of like trying to drive it as it is. It's set up, I mean, it's got the stance coilovers, so it's quite grippy no matter what sort of tires I have on it. And just the way, I think in the last video you would have seen the dyno graph from when I took it down to Chris, and the way the boost curve sort of does this instead of sort of ramping up and then plateauing. So it makes it really hard to drive. There's not a lot of mid-range with this car, so it makes it a little difficult. I probably should just use a 235 and have a bit more fun, but I haven't done that. I'm going to try these new semis because tyres are super expensive at the moment, and it's almost the same price to buy semis as it is radials. So I'm going to try these Road X things. Road X. They're a 265. I don't know where the tread wear is. Probably doesn't really mean anything anyway. I think they're like 180. So they're a 180 tread wear. I think these are just like a copy of a Tri-Ace Racing King, which is like a copy of a Neova. So I'll give these a go. I'll probably have to crank them up to about 60 psi to spin a tyre in this thing. But yeah, just trying to drive through the crappiness of the car and just practice more. Like, just want to drive as much as possible, tandem as much as possible, and yeah, just get more driving in. I do have a bunch of parts for this motor, so obviously we've been through the motor stuff. I mean, it needs a good tidy up in here, but I just can probably get a couple more track days in before I pull it apart. I need to get the Verossa going as well. So I've got a Arctic manifold, which was kindly sponsored by North Shore Toyota Parts, NST Parts, and Arctic. They were keen to get a bit of data on this kind of applications. I've got a G3660 Pulsar turbo, which I'm going to be running on this with the existing Turbo Smart 45mm wastegate. I'm going to strip this head down. It's got HKS 272s in it, which I think I've been over previously. Dual valve springs, solid lifter, I'm pretty sure, not 100%, but I'm pretty sure the head's pretty noisy. So I'm going to pull all that out and just put some 256 pond cams in with some Calford drop-in springs, and got some 1170 Expert injectors and a Max Sport ECU. We'll just be running it on E85 as well. So it's kind of a little bit of an updated version, I guess, of what we were doing previously with my 180 and, you know, like the C shop car and Joe's car, I guess. Joe's car's pretty powerful, makes about just under 500 wheel horsepower. So I'm kind of hoping this will be around the 450, 480 mark on a high boost setting. Got a Haltech dash to put in it to keep everything in check. I've got to replace the clutch when I do all that. But yeah, otherwise, like, this car's really cool. It's fun to drive, even though it is super frustrating with the power delivery. But yeah, just trying to make the most of it and use it and drive and get better at driving and get the Verossa going, and then we can rip into this thing as well. So yeah, got a fair bit of cool stuff sort of happening with the cars and yeah, just things in general. So yeah, just changing over some tires, give this thing a clean up and a service for next weekend. I've got my tyre machine and stuff back there. Yeah, I've got to get this bloody tyre machine out of the corner. Oh, I've got these bloody, those are the old CR Kais that came on the car. I had an issue with this wheel. It had a repair. Where is it? It had a repair in there. Let me see it. Lots of weld. And they didn't really create a decent bead, so it was just popping off. So I just buzzed through there with some weld. I've been cleaning that up, and I'll mount these AR1s. I'm going to give these a try. I know they're probably not going to be any good really for the type of driving we're trying to do, but they were actually pretty cheap, so I'll give these a shot. Put these on these CR Kais. But yeah, got to get the forklift and get this plywood out the way to get this out. Alright, so we're all cleaned up, wheels all cleaned up, tyres mounted on. Just gonna chuck. I've had a pretty weird time with tyres recently. Been using these far roads, which were used to be Newtons, I think. In the last 3 pairs I've run have all done this crazy chunk off after about like 3 or 4 laps. Pretty friggin' annoying. I tried these in a 235/45 on the Mark II when I was looking to do Pro Sport last season, and it's a 235 radial limit. Far roads were amazing. They were super grippy for a radial anyway on a big car, and really nice wear. But yeah, I don't know, these have just been freaking shit house, eh? So that was pretty annoying. I've got still like the last pair. I bought these ages ago. I did a few laps at Woundfest on these, so I'll chuck these back on. These ones weren't chunking off so far, but I don't know, I might just have 2 lower pressures or something, I don't know. I got the AR ones mounted up, they look pretty cool. Quite like that. So yeah, we'll chuck the Grammys back on for now. But yeah, car came up pretty schmicko. Quite a bit of like tyre marks and stuff on it. I'm gonna need to go over it with a bit of brake clean. I still haven't cut or polished this after I painted it. So might do that at some stage. I don't know, kind of not feeling the colour, but you know, that's me. I like changing my mind every 5 minutes. Man, this thing's friggin' sweet to water blast with. We've had this for ages, I've just never used it. It's always been at our workshop, and I've obviously have not been in Auckland. But man, really nice to clean stuff up with. I've probably got to rotate these front kenders. They've still got some good tread, but just completely lost the shoulder on this. This is just club circuit, that friggin' big right-handed entry. It's just roasted it. So I might just chuck this on the inside on just rotate them, basically is what I'm trying to say. See how those go. I think these tires are probably getting pretty close to cooked all around, so I'll take these AR1s as well out to the track. These are 9s, so these require like a stacked spacer. Those are 9.5s, those works, which I kind of hate. But yeah, anyway, get these wheels on. And the other tyres I'd been using were these Kenders, these KR20As. These were actually the old fronts off the Mark II. So they'd had seen a bit of action, but far out, they get down to like this kind of tread depth and then just don't wear out. But basically zero like high angle grip, not bad low angle grip. You could sort of feather the throttle, it'll pick up all right, but yeah, like zero low angle grip is just nothing. But man, it flipping lasted ages. So another thing I'm gonna do is chuck a new intake pipe on with a new filter. I actually stole the original one that was on here for the Verossa, and then ended up cutting that down to add the airflow meter back in, and then I didn't need the airflow meter because we're doing an ECU on that, so now the pipe was too short, so I got a new one. So this is some Aeroflow stuff from Steve at Stealth Ride. So I just need to sort of cut this down a little bit. This is a bit long to get in there now, but we'll measure that up, get that mounted in there, sort of right in the airflow of the old Combat Eye, which is pretty nice. So we get that all chopped up on the droppy, and yeah, whack that on. So yeah, that came out pretty good. I mean, it looks like it did before, but this filter is probably a little bit bigger. Quite cool having a black filter. I've got plans to really tidy up this engine bay when I do the bigger turbo and new setup in here. Probably won't pull the whole motor out, but I may have the head off to get some of that head work done. And I'll probably just try and tidy up the engine bay while that's off and the manifolds are off and all that kind of stuff. Just tidy it up a bit. I noticed the old wipers were completely gross, so I'm going to give those a bit of a tart up. Another thing I'm going to work on is just fixing that sagging front bumper. I sort of always had issues with the bumper dropping down, looking like the car's had a stroke. It's still got like the factory, some kind of bar. I don't think this is factory, but I'm not too sure. And it's just, I mean, you can see a massive bend. I don't know if you can see that, but it's all bent. So I might put something through here a bit more solid. Bit of LE flat bar. Got some of this stuff which might not be thick enough. Probably got something floating around in the scrap bin, which we can try and keep everything a bit straighter. It looks really ugly when it's like all sagging down at the front, and it's put a big stress fracture through the top edge because it obviously hooks around on that lip. So yeah, I don't know, I might even glass this again. Yeah, let me take a look at it. Alright, so day 2 of our Easter special catch up, I guess. Broke this little bit off a few track days ago. I think it was at Driftforce. Just collected a cone and just friggin' plopped it right in, pretty clean. Plopped it right off. So just gonna glass this back on. I like to use this like foil tape on the outside because it's quite stiff, so it's quite good at holding a shape. Give the inside a good key up, just to obviously for the resin to bed into something. So I'll cut a patch for across here, and then I'll cut a strip for in there. I'm not going to go too crazy on it because it's, yeah, probably just going to happen again, to be honest. So yeah, rear bumper stuff. Also just, yeah, jigging up these little brackets. Made these brackets to hold this up, but I'm going to need to glass behind it as well, just to create a bit more stiffness in there. Still need to make up the other bracket on the other side. I've also made it so it picks up the combat eye corner, because they kind of float there, to be honest. I did have a little bracket, but it was quite ugly. Yeah. So I got this glassing done. It's just one layer of chop strand matting, but solid as it'll certainly do. That's the outside there, so you can still obviously see where it's peeled away, but it just, I think it's just as easy glassing this than drilling it and putting in a friggin' shitload of zip ties or just taping it on the outside. Certainly a bit more sturdy. So yeah, got all that done, which is good. Got these little brackets sorted out to hold the bumper. Everything actually lines up pretty good now. Picks up the combat eye as well, which is good. These are just temporary stuff. I'm gonna redo all this stuff when I do some motor stuff. Done oil change. Oh, got a bubble on my throat. Oil change. Some of Valvoline's finest. I only ever use VR1. And yeah. Yeah, so oil change all done. Just probably do a bit of a bolt check. And yeah, and I bought these ages ago and I forgot about them. I found them when I was moving. It's these little race mirrors. I'm not really too sure how they go. Maybe that side. Might have a muck around with those. They obviously need some kind of base plate for them to mount on. I wonder if they're supposed to go this way. I assume they go that way. Oh yeah, that looks a bit better. It's not JDM stuff. I just got this from the Race Tech website. These are a pretty generic race mirror, not filming on a phone. Not a convex mirror, so you don't get a huge line of vision. But yeah, anyway, I might actually just whip these off and have a look, see if we can quickly knock this one up. Right, got a roughed in piece. It's a bit of a bummer because there's this lip here. Ideally I should probably notch around it, but I just think it might look a bit weird with that a bit sort of sticking up. So I think that'll certainly work. Just need to find the holes and bolt it on. Probably just paint this black. I think that looks alright. Pretty happy with that. I ended up notching this because the base plate was just looking a little bit bent, but I think that looks pretty cool. Both sides done. Yeah, I think that looks pretty good. Quite happy with that. They're pretty kind of high, I guess, but I think it still looks pretty good. So I've got all the bumper stuff pretty much sussed out. Everything's latching in there pretty nicely. And I've wanted to always do some underpanels, and I don't really want to pay for them for fiberglass ones. So I'm going to use some of this. This is a black material we use for our work here, and it's PVC. So this is plastic. There's a film on there, so it's just a black PVC board. So I'm going to knock up some underpanels out of this stuff. It's not super heavy, so it should work pretty well, just bolted up underneath the bumper. It's a 16mm thick, so I'm just going to make a template here. I'll just do 1/2 and then it'll obviously translate over to the other side. I'm just gonna make this template, and then I'll use just my little router over there to cut the PVC board. So yeah, starting with the front bumper. I'll do some sides, probably do a rear of some description. Just want to see how this works out with the front one first. I'm just sort of tracing out the rough size. I want it to sort of stick out a bit more at the front and then sort of run in from there to join this line here. So I've just made this little compass with a marker just to find that line. So I'm just going to sort of rough out a few I'll just have to freehand it. So yeah, this will be a template, single half template. So that's kind of like the rough shape I'm thinking. So I'm just gonna cut this now with the jigsaw and probably just a rail saw to get that nice straight line. Pretty happy with that. Alright, so I got the side done as well. I didn't film it. Just made a template. Cut this out. It's kind of hard to see on the video, but there is actually an arrowed edge all the way around, so it's actually rounded. So yeah, so I've just taken this measurement here, it's about 45, which kind of matches this one. Just to get the same sort of lines running all the way through. It's really hard to pick this up. But yeah, I'm pretty stoked with how this is looking. I might get some ACM, just add a few little canards. My favorite aero kit for these cars, well the 180 in particular, is the True Man Racing, the TMR one, the Kick Blue body kit. Kawaba's company? Yeah, Kawabata and Fujino somehow are mixed up with it. Anyway, they have there's kind of like an ACM panel that sort of runs up and kicks up, connects into the fender sort of here and here. Might have a muck around with some ACM, might do something at the front as well. Just makes it a bit more, I guess, aggressive looking, even though the car's not the most aggressive car out there. I think it kind of looks pretty cool, to be honest. But yeah, man, looks friggin' cool. I should sell these. Let me know if anyone wants some of these. I'll bust them out, do a program, bust it out on our CNC. Worldwide shipping available. Okay, I didn't film anything, but I made a rear one as well. And I've left it kind of square because I quite like it. So that's how it's going to look. Yeah, I think everything sort of matches in quite nicely. The lines kind of flow pretty good. I think this looks pretty similar to like Origin's underpanel, kind of the same stick out. But yeah, pretty happy with that. Right, this is my new garage at home. It's not huge. I thought I might be able to get the Silvia in here, but it's probably a little bit too tight. There is another little workshop area in here, which we're just kind of using for storing stuff. So it's not too bad, a little bit damp. There's a Verossa aero. Just patched it up and primed everything, side skirts there. So yeah, I'll give you a bit of a rundown of what I've been doing on the Verossa and where it's gone. Here's the engine bay as it sits. Ended up just going with aftermarket everything basically. So some 1170 cc injectors in there and the stock fuel rail. Fuel pressure rig there. Ethanol content sensor there. So I'm just actually finishing up the fuel system stuff now. I'm just using like push lock fittings with rubber, the ethanol safe rubber hose. I'm just putting this ethanol content sensor on here now just to sort of future proof. I may run it up on E85 with this setup, but we'll see what happens. What else? Oh, we got the R35 coil kit in there. Made up this loom, so that's terminates to a plug there. The loom I've made sort of runs over here and down, so it kind of follows the factory stuff. Got this big intercooler. I went with this real thick one, 100mm job from Phoenix. This 1J is a pretty high air intake temps, so yeah, trying to avoid that. This thing will produce a bit of heat with the stock manifolds. So stock mani there with a thing welded on. I think this is done in Australia, so it's also converted to V-band. I got this off a chap down in New Plymouth before I left. So got the G25 660 on there. It's a Pulsar Turbo Smart 45. So yeah, it's also all the exhaust is done. It's plumb back wastegate. Sam Smith did that for me before I left New Plymouth. This is a full stainless 3-inch right back to one muffler. I actually did all this alloy piping. These are some of my welds. Not great, certainly getting there. There's a big dab miss there, but yeah, came up not too bad. Pretty happy with it. Sort of routed it pretty tight up through this headlight thing. So yeah, just going to, I've really just got to button up this fuel system. I can sort of put the manifold, all that stuff back on. I have made a loom over here. This is my loom table. So this is the ECU will be running. This is a Max Race. So yeah, I've made this loom. This is a full custom loom for the 1J. Yeah, it came up alright. Looks good with these little bloody tags. Adam bought a little Rhino Dymo label printer, and I just borrowed. Oh, didn't borrow. Yeah, I did borrow it. And, ran some, you know, did all the little tags for everything, which is really cool. Just makes it look a little better. So yeah, it doesn't need too much more. Just got to finish terminating this plug for the wideband, because these Max ECUs have built-in wideband controller, which is pretty cool. I've got to weld in this IAT bung to some of the, I think that's intake charge pipe there. Is the intake manifold. I had this vapor blaster down in New Plymouth. It's covered in black fingerprints at the moment. Still looks pretty good. And also just mucking around with this fuel cradle. This fuel pump is an AEM 340, I think it is, pounds per hour or whatever, however they measure it. It's a little short for this to actually, once this back cradle's on, doesn't really hold it in place. So I'm just gonna probably drill some holes through here and just sort of fasten it with, see if I can zip one of those through there just to hold it in place. I think that's probably the only way to really do it. The other AEM I had, which is somewhere, I don't know where, that's a DW400. It actually fit perfect in there, but this one is about 10mm shorter, so yeah, this thing, it just doesn't hold it in place. So yeah, oh, there's a manifold and turbo. That's the one that's going on the Silvia. We'll get into that later. So yeah, oh, there's a throttle body there too. Had that all vapor blasted, came out pretty good. I've got one of the Delta Premium Racing electric throttle conversion kit thing in there. Probably doesn't really need it. Like, I've got another cheap thing I got from the States, which I can use with an aftermarket ECU. The Delta premium things are designed more to use with stock ECU. So it's a bit, I don't know, a bit of a waste really, but anyways. So yeah, that's kind of update on the Verossa. Yeah, I mean, it's, I don't know if I'd redone all the rear guard chop. It's all painted up now, but it's all fully welded all the way through. I've seam sealed everything, and like that's like a rhino liner kind of things. It's all fully sealed. I'm gonna have to cover this kind of hole up with something. Probably, I don't know how low I'll run this car. Probably kind of lowish, I guess. Yeah, what else have we done to this thing? It's got, don't like the lower arms, it's got serial 9 plus 25mm with the poly bush upgrade. Put some Kazama cast knuckles in, so it's got a bit of extra steering lock, and it uses a, what is it, like a JZX 100 inner and a Aristo outer, I think. Can't remember. Anyway, it's long enough to work, which is all that matters. So yeah, this has turned into a bit of a project. Just a quick catch up on this. But yeah, we'll hopefully get this running in the next couple of weeks and get it sorted for a tune. I kind of need to get this thing bloody running and sorted before I can crack into stuff on the Silvia. Ow, Jesus fucking Christ. Yeah, I know this car's so ugly, man, but I love it, eh? There's something about it. Yeah, anyway, we'll catch up on the next one.